And welcome everybody back to the Phantom Zone. It is the most earth-breaking, ground-shaking, but never media show money-taking, the man, the myth, the legend, the most electrifying villain in all of YouTube entertainment today. And whatever tomorrow brings, I'll be there. Welcome everybody to Fandom Talks. And today I have a very special guest with me. I said Gabe. Wow. I'm sorry. Freudian slip. I've been very prideful. I got all the pride emojis. We're very diverse here in the Fandom Zone.
That's fine.
Welcome, Jackie. How are you doing here?
I'm doing okay. I've had a stressful day, first day at a new job, so it's been a little bit crazy. But other than that, I'm doing very well. Thank you. How are you today?
I am doing fantastic. Yeah, and caught my Freudian slip. It's out there, so can't take it back. Unlike most of Hollywood doesn't know that. But anyways, today we're here because I wanted to do something for Jackie here because she's got a book coming out, and we're going to dive into that in a little bit. But I think that it's really cool, and I've had authors on here before and things like that. Yeah, I've always enjoyed the world of books and getting to know writers and authors and their ideas and things like that. I've always done a little bit of writing myself, so I am super excited to hear about everything. But the first thing we're going to do is kind of get some background, some info, go Oprah Winfrey, find out you.
I don't even know where to start. No, I'm just kidding. So my name is McCarthy. I also go by Jackie. That's fine. I am a epic fantasy romance author. I am currently writing a series called the Darkwalker Saga. There is a prequel that is going to be dropping tomorrow. Like we said, we'll get into that later. But the first book of the series is called The Darkwalker. But there is a prequel coming out in this anthology that is going to be dropping tomorrow called Acts of Divinity. And it is me and 7 other authors coming together to put out this product. And it's beautiful. It's basically, it's Acts of Divinity. So it's divinity mixing with humanity and all the ways that it can go right and all the ways it can go wrong. So it's just kind of my story in there is called Dark Descending, and it's a prequel to my Darkwalker saga. So, yeah, there's just...
Ooh. Yeah. So like this book essentially is going to have a story that's going to be a prequel to your actual book, kind of like a launch off. Now, the other authors that are featured in this book, are these excerpts from their stories or prequels like yours, or short stories, and then they have other things? Or how did they decide to like put all of these things into one book?
It's a bunch of short stories. There are a couple other authors, I can't remember which ones offhand, I apologize, but that are also doing a prequel thing like with me. But they're just short stories. They're about 5,000 to 7,000 words each, and each of them is talking about different gods or goddesses or whatever, mixing with whoever their characters are in their books and stuff. So we are part of the Otherworld community on Facebook, and we have like a group of authors that all go in this community together, and we publish a yearly anthology every single year. So I wasn't in the one last year, but the year before, we'd had one called Free Women of the Wild. And it was released over Mother's Day, and that was basically, magical female-led stories and stuff like that. So each year we do an anthology, and we get a bunch of authors together, and we kind of write our stories pertaining to whatever theme we pick, and then we put it all together in a book. And that's what we do every year so that we can all kind of get some exposure out there and get our ideas out there. And they're just short stories. Some people have... Some people, when they go through and they do it, their story actually ends up becoming a full story. So we do like a yearly contract with those authors. So if we want to be a part of the project for a year and then get out of the project and go publish that book somewhere else, we can. I don't ever do that because I just feel like it's silly. It's already in one project. So that's just my preference though. So we did Free Women of the Wild, and then the year after that we did Twisted Ever After, which was a bunch of fairy tales, but they were all twisted up and they were completely told differently from, depending, like for me, mine was Megra's Discord, and it was about Megra and Hercules, and it was a dark retelling of the fairy tale or the myth. So it just depends on what theme we do each year. So,
and in case you're wondering, that guys, this isn't a rant. She's actually an amazing person, and I've always been interested in authors and how they go about writing and things like that. And sometimes here on the channel, I just do shit that interests me. I had a gamer on before as one of my interviewers, Hell's Devil, who's a massive YouTube gamer. I like getting other people out there because I feel like if people in my audience don't know, then they can go and check them out. Fandom Talks, if you guys don't know, came from an idea that someone once told me in a group that I was in. They helped me get to 100 subs, and I said, oh, this is great, because at the time when I first started, I was only like 20. And I said, this is amazing. I'm really on my way here. What should I do? And they said, pay it forward. So that's why I started the Fandom Talks. I wanted to interview different channels I found interesting, different authors, different writers, different communities, so that everyone gets exposure to these awesome things, because there might be some people watching, or people who will watch on the replay, who really like to read and they like fantasy, and they're like, God, I wish I could find a good fantasy story. So that's why I do these Fandom Talks, because people should get exposure to various different things. And before I continue, I want to say hi to everybody that's here, because normally I do that, but I got to rambling. Lemon Pie, what's up? Elizabeth Me, good to see you. Hen, always good to have you here. DJ H Record Hound, good to have you here. Mr. Black Angus, coming to get cultured, good to have you here. Maddie G, how are you? And Maddie G was the one I was commenting to. Sometimes you guys see me rant and have jokes. This is more my serious one-on-one. I like to interview people and really just find out how they get started, because to me, we all come from different walks of life. Although you and me, we're both in the military, we'll get into that. But everybody has different interesting, fascinating stories. And when they see us here on YouTube, or maybe they read your book, they don't get an insight into who we are and what makes us tick. I've had so many people leave me bad comments or even good comments, and it's like they don't know what I'm thinking when I make a video. Right. And so I was like, hey, I want to dive deep into the psyche of why we do what we do, what started this, what are we passionate about? Because I think it's important. So let me ask you, what got you started on the journey of writing? Did you start as a kid? Because I wrote a lot when I was a kid. Or was it like you got inspired and you're like, I'm just going to write this down one day?
Well, originally when I was a kid, I actually wanted to be an actress. And I actually did theater for a long time, and I really enjoyed it, but it just wasn't like, what I really wanted to do. And then I ended up taking a English class. I was in accelerated English 10 because I'm really good at English. And so obviously, I ended up getting this teacher, Mr. Kim. He was a badass, let me just tell you. And he's very knowledgeable about writing and stuff. And he had a, we did essays, and we wrote an essay about, I think we had to pick like a serial killer or something, or some sort of murderer history figure or something like that. And he had like a list of people, and I was like, okay. And so then I picked Elizabeth Borden, I think is her name, but she was a killer. And I wrote an essay about her, and then I actually won an essay contest. I got second place in my entire state. And so I got to go through this festivities, and I got to read my essay out loud to this group of old people, and it was really, really cool. And I realized as I was writing it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is kind of fun. And so then I started kind of getting inspired to write fantasy, because I was like, what if her story ended differently? Because I think she went to jail or prison or something. And so I was like, what if her story would have ended differently? And so then I just started kind of writing, and then I was really into the Final Fantasy games at the time. So specifically Final Fantasy X.
Oh, see, I'm a Final Fantasy VII guy.
Yeah.
Cloud and Sephiroth's story. I don't care what anyone says. You can't convince me that's not the most compelling story drama ever.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
And the Legend of Dragoon. I was really into Legend of Dragoon. I don't know if you ever played that game.
Yes, very good. I was a big MMO and RPG guy back in the day.
Yep. So Final Fantasy X, then I was watching wrestling at the time, and there was like a commercial for like Final Fantasy X too, and I was like, oh my gosh! And so I started playing this game, and I don't know if you know anything about Final Fantasy X too, but basically you are exploring this story of Len and Shuyin, and and it was really. And I really wanted to write fan fiction. And so like I wrote a fan fiction about Len and Shuyin. And that's just kind of like where it went from there. And so I just kept writing and writing and writing and writing. And that's kind of what I've been wanting to do ever since then. So I don't know, it's like a long drawn out explanation, but
And says, oh good, they're going all nerdy on me. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like I was such a big Final Fantasy fan, and then they released the newer ones, and they just been Yeah. I would much rather they remaster the older stuff. But yeah, I followed 10 to 11.
Yeah,
I think I stopped at 12 or 13. One of those. I was just like, nah, this ain't for me anymore. But it's interesting you bring that up, because Final Fantasy is one of those things that have very rich lore and world building, and the things with what do they call it, materia or whatever, where they summon the dragons and things like that. So I can kind of see how those two things would mix. And for me, getting into fantasy literature, it's probably going to be cliche, but J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, like that was the Helm's Deep.
I've never actually read any of his books. I'm not gonna lie.
He's long and drawn out, and I think his works, but it's very long and hard to get through, simply because the world he built is so layered. Yeah, that he literally spends like 3 chapters just describing where they are before you even get to the action. But yeah, I mean, I will say that was a book that benefited from a movie, because what they did with the battles of with Helm's Deep in the film was as close as anyone's ever going to get to adapting something from a book onto the big screen. So and seeing that play out, I remember just thinking, I was sitting in the theater going, like, this is the pinnacle of technology. We're not going to go any further than this. So, I could see why you would get interested in fantasy, because it pushes the boundaries. There's so much you can do. There's so many ideas you can incorporate into that world. So what gave you the idea, like this book you're coming out with in this prequel, right? You've obviously got a greater story you're writing. What was the initial thought behind your story? Because all authors have those. Like Stephen King said, he wrote the Langoliers on a napkin on an airport. So I mean,
actually, it's really funny because it's going to tie into what I've already told you. I'm obsessed with the Dragon Age games.
Yeah.
So I was playing. So I played Dragon Age Inquisition first, and then I found out about Origins and Dragon Age 2. So I played Inquisition first, and I was woefully unprepared for Solas's romance arc. So if you guys haven't romanced Solas, do it. You won't regret it. But you're going to live in Solavel in hell for the rest of your life. So I am huge into the romances, and the first person I ever romanced was Solas. And if nobody knows, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but I've discovered about myself that I like the forbidden romance and angst and the drama, dramatic, not meant to be together crap. And so when I first started writing, I started writing the Darkwalker first, and then my friend Tamara at the community, she was like, oh, we're gonna do, the theme this year is going to be acts of divinity for this anthology. And I was like, okay. And then I was thinking about it because I was already kind of jotting notes down to develop backstory for Darkwalker. And so then I was like, oh my gosh, that's going to be my story for the anthology. So I wrote Dark Descending probably in like a month, because because I was so inspired and I had already built everything for the Darkwalker. And so I just kind of like I took some of the scenes that you're going to see in the Darkwalker and I adjusted them to fit my female lead and the Darkwalker's mother for Dark Descending. So the mother of my Darkwalker female is the focus of the story for Dark Descending. And it's really I was really surprised because I was worried that I wasn't going to have enough like detail or anything like that, but I was already jotting things down. So I just kind of like took it and reworked it. So it was really easy.
I've heard a ton of times, like once you start writing and you write all of these ideas down and you're looking at it at the time, it doesn't seem like a lot, but then that's where editors come in, because you just wind up having all of this stuff come to you. I remember before Stephen King went crazy, I used to like a lot of his stuff, and I wrote his book I read his book on writing, and he said that his characters and worlds sort of build themselves. Like he starts with an idea, but essentially the character dictates where he's going to go in the story. And it is true. Because I've been writing this idea that I've had for like 20 years, but every time I write it down, I'm afraid that it's too close to something else. But my inspiration is this game, Max Payne.
Okay.
The story for Max Payne is so great, and this guy just needs a hug so badly because of all of the stuff that he's gone through. And I've always wanted to do a noir kind of story with that, but also with religion, so like demons and stuff, and all, because I love horror and I'm a sick individual. So that's kind of where I wanted to go. And it's interesting because just like thinking about it, you get all of these ideas that run through your mind, and you kind of and I also want to do a thing on covert ops, because I was deployed with them. So, kind of make like a avatar of some of the things that I've went through.
Right.
And it's really fascinating once you get going and the ideas you have. Maddie G says, how do you start to write a book? Do you have a rough idea of the story before you start, or do you just start writing and see where it goes?
Honestly, it's very, for me personally, it always, I'm very spiritual. Hen and I are witchy. We're witchy people. And so we do like our oracle cards and stuff. But so I always felt like, okay, this will sound crazy, but so I always feel like I hear voices sometimes, or like I'll be out at the store or something, and just like something will just like pop up and I'll be like, oh my gosh. Or, a lot of times when I'm trying, one of my favorite things to do in RPG games is character and world build. So like, character building, your personalization of your characters and stuff. So that's what I really like to do. So I spend a lot of time like building characters. So if I'm inspired by, like, sometimes it's something as simple as, like, I have a friend who is very, very pretty, and she's like this like redhead, and she's got like blue eyes, and I was just like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. I want to write a story about a girl that's that pretty, like, what I mean? Like something stupid. and, it just depends really. Like, I know like a lot of it happens when I'm gaming, for sure. Or, because you can just let your mind go numb, focus on what you're doing. And then if you just like free yourself from any obstacles, sorry, my phone is going off. Let's just turn that down. If you just free yourself of all the obstacles possible, it'll come to you. Or, if you have a specific story that you want to write, like your story for Covert Ops, for instance, if you had something that you wanted to write about that, a specific mission that really like, called to you, or that you really enjoyed or hated or whatever. And, just manipulating that into a fictitious world. English is hard.
That's okay. I struggle with it nonstop here in the Fandom Zone, so you're good.
But I will say, let me just interject here and say that if anybody wants to get into writing or anything, let me know. I have resources. I have a writing, I have a couple writing tribes. I have some really good people that, you can link up with, or, you can, reach out and get some resources. So I'm all about helping other authors that want to get into this and start honing their craft. The biggest thing for me with my writing is I started approaching my writing as a business, even though I'm not necessarily in writing to make money. I just started approaching it like a business, because if I don't prioritize it, then it's not going to be prioritized. So you just got to make the time and figure out what you want to do, really.
I know I can completely understand that because of with this YouTube thing and being monetized. I always, when I first started, I liked the rebel mentality of F the system and stuff like that. I'm going to buck the system. But when you start actually making money off of what you're doing,
Right.
it changes things a lot, because even though you want to say some things, you do understand from a business perspective, like, hey, there are people actually investing in me as a brand. So it kind of changes what you can and cannot do. I still, thank goodness, I keep it mostly liberal, and I haven't been struck for anything, too controversial. And I still bring up topics that I feel like need to be discussed. But now it's like the way you tackle things has to be from a different perspective, because you're making money on it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, everybody, I hate this thing that people get in their head where they think that you sold out just because of some, and they use it a lot with bands and stuff like that. Like, oh my God, they sold out. And it's like, no, they made the music for you to listen to. Yes. Right. They wanted to reach a wide audience. Yes. And maybe it didn't start off as making money, but they do have to eat, survive, live, get their basic needs. So eventually, somewhere along the lines, you do have to not completely conform, but you have to kind of mold yourself into that. And I feel like it goes across the board. Writing, gamers. I mean, I think about gaming and think of how many people they go through, like, before we get a game. Like, oh my gosh. So, I mean, do you deal with a lot of those constraints? Do you still have people you answer to, or is it more of an independent thing?
I am an indie author. I mean, so the good thing about the Otherworld is my friend Tamara is trying to become like a micro publishing house. So she doesn't necessarily have any rules, but she has specific fantasy genres that she focuses on. But I do have another friend of mine who is a publishing house, and she's called Magic Moon. And I haven't worked with her yet, but I might work with her on another story series that I have coming out. One of the other anthologies I did 2 years ago, the Free Women of the Wild one that I was talking about, my story in that one is called The Sand Mage. And that's kind of just a spin-off story of another world I created that I haven't really, you said something about you've been trying to write this book for 20 years. So this book that I've been writing for 20 years, and it's the Terracona Saga. And it's literally changed so much. Like I started it when I was in high school, because I was reading those Black Dagger Brotherhood books that I was telling you about. And I started writing this story because I was really inspired by what I was reading by J.R. Ward. And then I realized as I read through it a couple years later, I was like, oh my gosh, I just totally copied everything that she had. I loved it so much. And so I had to scrap it and start over. And I've had to scrap this story and start over at least 3 times because I just haven't been satisfied with it. And I'm at that point now where it's been 20 years. So I need to decide, do I let it go or do I keep going? And so even when I was writing this series, I was really starting to get the itch to start thinking about Terracona again. And I was like, no, I can't. I have to focus on Darkwalker. So I was just putting my blinders on. But I want to self-publish for a little while I learn the ropes. And then if I feel like I want to go through a big publishing house, maybe. But all the research I've done, it seems like it's going to be more problems than benefits working with a big publishing house. So I'd rather go with somebody, if I'm going to go through a publisher, I'd rather go with somebody smaller where there isn't all those constraints and rules, because, I'm going to write what I want to write, and I'm not writing for anybody but myself. So
Gosh, I wish YouTube had those other alternatives too.
right.
When I look at my streams from then, and I've even had some comments where they're like, "Oh, you really scaled things down." Which, watch my late nights. We literally made a stream about penises. We're not scaling that down, but it comes to like with streams like this and stuff like that. I do want to branch off because I want to make this a living, and not because I'm like, yeah, make that money. I hate those YouTubers, but it's more of like, I can make money doing what I like to do, and I get to talk to people a lot more. And honestly, I'd like to stream a hell of a lot more because I like what I do. And I think that's the key with whether it's writing, whether it's developing a game, whether it's making a movie and stuff like that. It's there's so much corporatism that's going around right now. It's good, and it's why another reason why I wanted to have you on the program. It's good to see independent authors, gamers, whatever, making money and separate from that, because I think there's a difference. There really is selling out, right? At corporatism. We see it all the time in Hollywood versus people who have good ideas. And they kind of need a place to go, right? You need that place to start so you can get your ideas out there. You got some really good ideas that you want people to see. So, you kind of have to have a place to go. And it's good to see people like yourself and the people you're working with thriving in it, because there's so much. I know, especially like people wouldn't think the book industry is corrupt, but from what I hear, it's quite corrupt as well, too.
Which is another reason why I just want to hang out with the people I know and trust.
So, have you ever gotten those offers from like the bigger? I don't know who's big in that world, but like bigger publishers or someone being like,
Not yet. All I have published right now is short stories, so I don't necessarily have a lot of material out there. I also have Wattpad, so I'm also a writer on Wattpad, and I'm actually going to start going into Amazon. They have this new program where it's kind of like Wattpad. I don't know if you know anything about Wattpad, but basically the authors there, they just post, whatever they want to post, and it's kind of like a social media where they like write what they want to write, and then you have to wait for them to update it. So I do have some stories on there, but I don't really have anything like big and attention grabbing out yet, because I've kind of just started getting my feet wet the last couple years. That's where my friend Tamara and I are different, because she's like hardcore, like, this is a business, I'm gonna make money and I'm gonna do it, and I'm just like, I just write because I like to write, girl. So like, and there's nothing wrong with that mentality at all. It's just not who I am. I would rather write because my characters deserve to be heard, and my characters are talking to me and they're driving me nuts. So I need to get it on paper so they can drive somebody else nuts.
And the great thing I love about my chat is I'm sitting here reading. Everyone's just got their own thing going. So shout out to the chat. You guys have a very interesting conversation going on. And I'm just going to weigh in. I love Eminem. F anybody who doesn't like him. I have followed him since the 90s.
Is that thunder that I'm hearing? Do you hear that?
That could be on my end. I have my windows wide open, but I don't think it's thunder. There's just a lot of wind and bright, sunny sunshine.
I'm trying to figure out if it's thundering where I'm at or if somebody's outside with the luggage cart. I can't tell.
But that's the great thing. I think that it's interesting talking to you, and like I had Hell's Devil on here and people like that. I like talking to people that are able to get themselves out there, that are starting to gain momentum and traction and aren't tied into this world yet. I'm sure you've seen my channels and what I talk about.
Yeah.
And we're getting to a place where I read this story. And I believe it was Chris Struckman or one of them. It's someone I watch on YouTube. He's one of my favorite critics besides Jeremy Johns. Okay. And he was talking about writing a script, because he writes scripts besides doing YouTube. And he was talking about one day he did a video about what it takes to be in Hollywood. And he talks about that he had this script written and he brings it to the studio and they're like, this is great stuff, man. And we know you're on YouTube and you got millions of viewers and we think we could really push you, but you need this, this, and this. And now he's pretty fair with his reviews down the center. He doesn't like to weigh in one way or the other as far as where we'll go full on the woke stuff. He kind of just keeps it about the movie, and I respect that. But he said, I realized at this time that Hollywood's mindset is selling this kind of like separation between men and women and all of this stuff. He goes, when I wrote my script, they wanted me to add in a character of color. They wanted me to add in more females and stuff like that. And I think it's cool what you're writing because I don't feel like you guys have to be held to this BS standard that's out, right? Where they're like, oh, yeah, this is a good story, but we need a Latino here, we need a black person here, we need all of these people here. And I've seen a lot of books like that. Like there's a lot of stuff. Books, games. I watched a game in E3 get booed because gamers are assholes, and thank God they are. I watched this game called Life is Strange. One, and her power was empathy. Now, I have nothing wrong with this, but the way they frame this and how the character's designed and everything, it's clearly what they're trying to do. And all I read in the comments was like, boo, this sucks. Oh, here we go again. Not buying this. It's like, so in your world, do you come across this stuff? Like, do you see like this kind of market or is it just not a thing in books?
I think some people try to do that. I know I was going to try and add a little bit more diversity to my writing, but I had a friend who was a person of color, and I had asked her, I said, I was thinking about writing a person that, was a person of color because of whatever reason, because I wanted to write like this warrior queen or something. And she was like, honestly, like, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but you as a, white person can't write a person of color story. And I was like, okay. And she's like, it's nothing against you. It's just, you just can't. And I was like, all right, well, and her and I are really close. So like, I appreciated that feedback. And if she felt uncomfortable with me doing it, that's totally fine. But what I do is try to add different, like walks of life in general. So I don't whitewash everybody, but I also just say, oh, like these people live in the desert, so they are more tan than these people, or what have you. But it's not like a requirement from what I've experienced so far. But again, I just have to answer to myself. So
I mean, actually, that is a great answer because that story really goes to what I've been saying, which is me personally, I don't prescribe to that bullshit theory that, oh yeah, because you're not a person of color, you can't write. Like, for instance, I lived in New York. I lived in a very rough part of New York, right? So I was around that culture. So someone is telling me that I couldn't write my experiences, and it's not because I don't understand what goes on, because I was around that set of peoples. They're literally saying it's because of the color of your skin. And I think that is where it's wrong. Because I don't think that would be like saying that a black person who experienced the white perspective couldn't write because, oh, they're not white. Now, if someone came out and said that, could you imagine the shit that would go down?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. It would be epic. It would be absolutely epic. So I think if we're going to put that standard on, we should put it across the board and not just say it should be people who experience things from a particular angle should be able to write it.
Right. And at the time, BLM was a huge thing, and it was, the political climate was crazy. It was a couple years ago. And so like, I understood where she was at. So I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it at that. And if I get inspired to write something in the future, then I'll just write it and see what happens. But there was just a lot of politics at the time that I was considering writing the story. And so I appreciated her feedback, and
No, at least she came at you from
yeah,
a respectful angle, because
right.
I can't tell you. Okay, so story time for myself. If you guys don't know, I played a video. I think it was or someone dug up a video. It was either with Rebecca or Hen. I can't remember who it was, but someone had made a fan video for me. Yes, it's out there.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, I know
On
you
that
saw
screen.
it. And the reason why they made this video was there was this woman who had come on my page,
Yeah.
and she had wrote me quite a bit nasty comments. She was younger, and she had wrote them because I had done a review on Captain Marvel, and I was not. It was not a flattering review. Granted, you guys heard me rant, and if you go back through and watch my video, I'm pretty lenient compared to how I am right now. I was very diplomatic, and I simply just pointed out flaws within the movie.
Right.
And I even said, I don't believe it was the actress's fault. I think she was given terrible direction.
Yeah.
And, I laid out this foundation for my argument. And this girl wrote me like a paragraph about how I was misogynistic and I just couldn't stand women who have power and all this stuff. So I responded, and the more we responded, the more I kind of got more pissed off. So my responses were probably less diplomatic than they could have been. And this girl wound up doxing me. She found my Facebook, which is why I don't have Facebook now. She found photos of my daughter, and then she posted them on pornography sites. What? And my friend Justin Proper, this is why Justin's on my channel. Shout out to him. He's a great guy. Go check out his channel. He found it because he was looking up these jokes, because a lot of people have done joke sites on me too, which I'm flattered that people find me that interesting to joke about me. Right. So, we go to this joke site, and then there's another link to another site, and it's like a very, very, very predatory kind of site. And they had pictures of my daughter from my Facebook onto the site. I had to
kill somebody. Woo!
Oh, I threatened the company. I put a cease and desist out on them. And I said, if those aren't removed right now, I will burn this to the ground. Disclaimer. But, I said, I still know a lot of people from my days in the service. I go, I will track down your IP. I will find where you are. And I guarantee you will not like what I do next. And so they pulled it down. The site pulled it down based on the threat they got from a lawyer. But the person pulled it down because I threatened them directly. Disclaimer, YouTube, it was someone not on here. So don't strike this video. But the point being is that people take this so seriously. So I think you took the best course of action, especially given the height of that. I don't blame you, because it's so sad when you're trying to write a story and maybe you're trying to honor that culture or perspective, and you can't because of the color of your skin, which the irony is we're supposed to be combating racism. So I don't understand how those things work out.
Yeah. And I appreciated her telling me that. I mean, at first I was a little irritated because I was like, bro, you know me, like WTF. But then the more I thought about it, given the political climate at the time and the way things were going on and everything, I was like, okay, I get it. And so, I just kind of, I have this image in my head of certain characters that I write, and it may not be what I wrote down on the paper, but it's fine.
And Hen, thank you, says he is on his own channel. Not one can stop him from ranting on his own channel. Yeah. And that's the thing. Look, this person was subscribed to me for a while. And as far as I knew, they enjoyed most of my other videos. And I think I had worse takes on other things. So it kind of threw me. But it was like you said, right? You had that BLM. And people don't understand when I bring up the Brie Larson thing. If you guys don't know, Hollywood protected her like they are AH. Like
Yeah.
literally, if you went after her for any reason, your channel got struck, videos got removed, ratings got pulled. It's when Rotten Tomatoes had the scandal because they pulled their ratings. They stopped the rating system because of her movie. And really, the movie wasn't as feminist as they portrayed. And I even said it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It just sucked because it was boring. That was... But if you came out and said anything about this person, you got hit by all of these weirdos who loved the movie and just thought you were a misogynistic white male trying to hold them down because you're part of the patriarchy. I literally got comments like this, and I'm like, it's just my opinion.
Right.
I'm not saying she's bad. I'm saying the movie's bad.
Yeah. Like, heaven forbid I be honest about my review. That's funny.
So that's where I changed to Zod because it came from, well, everybody's, that, and when I slick my hair back, some people say I look like Terrence Stamp with the goatee, so I just kind of ran with it. But everyone painted me like this villain, so I said, okay, I guess I'm the bad guy, but I'm going to be the bad guy who's going to tell the truth and not be this person who's going to coddle you and hold your hand. And...
Yep. I always say that. Like, I would much rather you dislike me or hate me for my truth and my honesty than to sugarcoat things and be nice to your face and then be shitty to you behind your back. Like,
so this is a question I've been dying because we kind of bonded because we have the same interests, and I was talking to you like, wow, you're a gamer, we're both nerdy, that's cool, I love it, but what got you into the Johnny Depp and everything going on here? Because that I find it very fascinating.
How can I politically correctly say this? So I'm going through a situation in my real life with a woman who's causing trouble. And basically she is very AH in her behaviors, let's say. And she it's like I'll have to tell you about it offline, but it gets pretty intense. But basically, long story short, she's very much makes up stories, tries to manipulate everybody into believing her truth when she's lying, and it's very prioritizing herself above other people, essentially. And so I was seeing, I think I stumbled across, what was I doing? I would think I was just kind of, because I have a friend that lives with me. He's a video game streamer, Neon PWA, and he's amazing. He does Battlefront videos, and so I was kind of looking for, because I watch his streams. I'm like dedicated because he's a friend of mine, so I try to show him support. And so I was kind of like, I kind of, because I was never really into like YouTube videos really, until, he moved in with me and with his wife and stuff. And so we were like, okay. And so I started watching his videos and stuff. And then I was like, this is kind of fun, like hanging out and chat. And so I was just kind of like cruising through YouTube, and I came across something about AH and JD. So when I first heard, I'm not a big JD fan. I'm really not. I haven't seen all of his movies. Like literally, I've only ever seen him in like the Pirates of the Caribbean and Sweeney Todd, Edward Scissorhands, and that's basically it. Because I'm not.
Right. You said the most important one. I don't care, Father Zod. Sweeney Todd is number 2 in Zod's book.
I love Sweeney Todd.
I know. I am very picky about musicals, but and the fact that he sang all of it, like the whole cast sang their own songs. Like I've seen everything on that movie. Like very unhealthy obsession with it. But yeah, it's not specifically Johnny Depp that. Was the draw for me. It was the talent that he showed, that he has a really good voice, multi-layered. But I think this goes to what Hen's saying. She goes, oh, so not because Johnny is sexy as bleep.
I really don't find him that attractive. Yeah, he looks good for his age, but if I ever met the man, I wouldn't drool over him. I would just hug him. That's it.
I'm not gonna lie, I hug him too, because
But anyway, and so I kind of stumbled across something about because when it first came out that this had happened between the two of them was what, 2016? I don't even know where I was at that time, but I wasn't really into the Hollywood scene and stuff. And so when I first read about it, I was like, I really highly doubt that. And I'm an abuse victim, or not victim, survivor myself. And so I was just kind of like, what? Because I had never seen him negatively in the news ever. And so I was like, but I didn't ever like dig into it. And so, but then I stumbled across, I think it was like they had announced that I think something about her story had fallen apart or something in some like Hollywood tabloid or something. And I was like, what? And so then I was trying to look into it because I was like, that doesn't make sense. And so then I stumbled into Rob's page, and that's where I started seeing that all this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so deep. So then from Rob, I found, That Umbrella Guy, and then I found, Incredibly Average, and so then I just kind of did the rounds like the rest of us here. So so it wasn't, it was just, I just happened to stumble across it, and I wanted to know more about it because of the specific situation I'm going through in my real life, which I'll tell you about later. But and I was just, and the parallels are just crazy. So
I find that interesting because there's a myth that's perpetuated amongst the weirdos who support AH, whereas we are all Johnny loyalist, indoctrinated, whatever else. And that's why I find it interesting, especially when you say I was never really big into Johnny Depp. It was just the case itself. Yeah. I think that's what I find fascinating about interviewing all sorts of people, is because we all cover different things. Like for me, myself, I was purely woke culture, cancel culture, and I still do that. And thankfully, all you people still watch me. Thank you so much and stick with me. But I clung on to this because my friend Stevie J got me into it, and he was always talking about this. I'm like, what the hell is with this? So I did my research into it, and it goes with what I'm saying, and it's all a circular problem. And I feel strongly that it's become perpetuated by the mentality that Hollywood themselves put out there. And someone like Amber was going to come along eventually. And I said this for a few years now. If you go back through and watch my old videos, I used to say, like, this woke culture and this crying is going to perpetuate someone to take advantage of it and manipulate the system for their own gains. And here we are now. Yep. And I find it interesting talking to you because we have a lot of the same things in common for gaming and things like that. And the worlds we come from are different than this, but we were brought together by this community.
Right. And that's
so crazy.
And Hen and I talk about how crazy the universe is all the time because, just to segue here. So like I said, I'm very spiritual and very witchy and stuff like that, but I've been thrown off my path for a very long time. And so I came across Rob's page, which led me to, all the other, people. And then I came across Keely's page, but she wasn't talking about JD and AH when I came across her page. And I was like, WTF? And so I looked, and she was talking about, she was doing her psychic talks or whatever, and she was doing her oracle cards and stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then that first day, like my first day in her chat, she ended up getting called to read for me, and she read some cards for me. And basically, first message I ever got from Keely was, oh, the spirit world is trying to contact you again. And I was like, and I was like, okay, which led me to Rosaling, which led me to Hen, which led me to, and so now I'm starting to get back on my spiritual path. And so now, Hen and I have been hanging out a lot on streams and stuff, as you saw. And, we've been, doing cards and everything. And, and it's funny too, because I've always been searching for a deck, but nothing ever really called to me until now. And so I was like,
yes, I had Alma Radek to do a reading here. As you guys know, not throwing out my personal beliefs, I'm a Christian. It has nothing to do with the religious dogma. I heard that whole conversation, which I did not weigh in on whatsoever, because my feelings are a little bit different, I guess, than the average bear. I feel like my take on religion, no matter what it is, or spiritual belief, is and you could probably relate to this with us being in the service, is that people need something to believe in, whatever it is. And who am I to tell you what's right and what's wrong when I don't even got it figured out myself?
Yep.
My view could be right. Your view could be right. I guess we'll all see at the end of it.
I know, right? Like,
we'll until the end of the story. And this is the thing, I've had arguments even within Christianity. I don't go to a lot of churches, and I don't go to church because there's a verse that everybody seems to skip over when they try to indoctrinate you. And it's a verse in the Bible. I can't for the life of me remember what it is, but it says, the temple of the Lord lives in the hearts and minds of men. That doesn't mean he lives in a building and that you have to go every Sunday and give money to the church system. That to me is just corruption. I think that who you choose to believe in, what you choose to believe in resides in you. And if it makes you happy, then who am I to say that you're wrong? I did a reading and Helma called some stuff that I can't explain, and she was dead on. So who am I to tell her that she's like, it creeped me out. I'm not going to lie that she had so much stuff like dead on.
Yeah.
And so, I'd be a fool to say that there's not other things out there, that there's not other people tapped in and connected to something, because the world is a magical place. It's a place of wonder. And I don't believe any of us have a handle on exactly what is the big thing. And I mean, if you think of the things that man fights over, what are they? We fight over money, we fight over religion, and we fight over politics.
Yep.
Those are the big three that we're constantly at war with. And if everybody just looked, there's very simple solutions to all of them.
Right.
Okay. It's just let people be who they want to be and shut the hell up. I'm not going to tell anyone that they're wrong about something or argue with them, because I feel like I had an experience where I nearly died and I saw what I saw.
Yep.
And people can say it was a hallucination or whatever else. Good. You can think that. Me personally, and how it felt for me, it did not. So that's why I lean where I lean. But I've also seen people do stuff. Like going around the world, you see things and people do things you can't explain. You can't put some kind of science to it or even logic. It defines logic. And I mean, and hell, if aliens that throws something new in the mix. If aliens are out there, people are going to lose their mind. People
oh my God.
riot.
If people think we're the only ones in this universe, I don't understand how they could think that. Yeah, and I'm like with you too. Like for me, like I don't necessarily follow any religion or anything, and I've always felt that it doesn't matter how powerful that G word guy is, but like it doesn't matter how powerful he is. To me, in my mindset, I was always like, he had to have had help somewhere at some point. Because you can't think of everything, And
I'm not going to confirm or deny, but I will say I was over in a little place called Roswell, New Mexico, and I did not even have the clearance to get past the second gate.
Yeah.
Okay. And I will tell you, whatever the hell is in those hangars, the way they're designed, I've seen a lot of hangars for a lot of bases, and that design is not for jets. So you could say whatever you want to say, government, and take my stream down for false narratives or whatever. But I'm just telling you, that's a bunch of bullshit. And how many times are you going to use the weather balloons excuse? Because my God, you've been using that since the 50s. Get something new. Like every time, it's always, we were flying this weather balloon at about 2 a.m. Just what you are.
Sure, you were.
Of
course. Hi, Planet Q.
Hi, Planet Q. Oh, thank you. $2 super chat. I appreciate you. And if you guys don't know, while I have 16 watching, I will be doing a members only stream, and I'm going to be diving into martial arts. I am a martial artist. I'm a first degree black belt in Taekwondo. I was a black belt before that in Japanese karate, and I might do some demonstrations. I'll show you guys some practical self-defense that you can use.
Ooh.
If you're like cornered at your car, or you're walking late at night and someone tries to grab your purse or your arm or something. I'll show you how to get out of those. So, I'm not being sexist here, but I've always felt a special thing. Maybe it's because I have a daughter that ladies should know how to defend themselves, because society's defense right now is all men are bad.
Yeah.
And that's nothing.
That's not true.
I think that people should have an understanding of how to use your environment around you to escape from a situation. And you could use anything. You could use car keys and make them a weapon. Like anything you have on you could potentially save your life. So I want to do a couple of streams like that.
Self-defense pens. I have one of those cool self-defense pens that I always take with me everywhere.
Hen, I am not going to pressure you because you're always here into becoming a member. I will just send you some stuff or maybe a video or two and show you how to do some stuff because I love having you here. And so, yes, you can roll up a nude. As a matter of fact, speaking of that, just to get a little sidetracked, one of my favorite scenes, I think it was Taken, where he rolled up a newspaper and took out those guys.
Yep.
People, you have no clue. When you roll up a newspaper, preferably you want to get it wet because then it acts like a club. But when you roll up a newspaper, you can do a lot of damage with just a newspaper.
I've seen what it does when I kill bees with it. So, Issa, I'm still writing my Darkwalker book. I'm at the climax part of it. So I think I've been writing this story for 3 or 4 months. I wrote Dark Descending, which is a prequel that's going to be in the Acts of Divinity anthology that drops tomorrow. I wrote that within probably about a month because I had a lot of material from the Darkwalker. So it just depends. If I'm really feeling a story, I will keep going on it.
And just as a little thing, if I can get a hold of my man Flipped Out, we were both martial artists, so maybe I can get him to come on my stream and talk. He's a great guy. I've known him for a long time. So, but yeah, back to your book. So, can you give us any spoilers? Because I got to ask, as like doing this journalist thing. Do you have any little spoilers for us? Maybe give us some plot points that only people could hear here in this interview.
For what? Dark Descending or for the Darkwalker?
Oh, you're making. I don't know. Let's do
the Darkwalker since Dark Descending is shorter.
Yes.
But what I will say about Dark Descending is when I wrote the ending of Dark Descending, I cried. That's all I'm going to say. So take that how you will.
Hen wants you to read us a bit of the book. I
can if you want.
A little bit of a reading?
Yeah, if you want.
All right. You know what? Let's do it diplomatically. Everybody in the chat put ones in the chat if you would like Miss Jackie to read us a little excerpt from the up-and-coming book, little sneak peek. And don't do the same name in several ones.
You almost had a loophole.
Santa.
Hi, Andy.
Oh, my goodness, TJ. Jeez.
If you guys want to know how Angie C. enjoyed Dark Descending, I'm sure she'll tell you because she's read it already.
Oh my goodness. Hen.
I just look up and all I can see is Hen.
All right. So you know what? Let's do here on the Fandom Zone. I love spoiling things. This is my first time spoiling a book. So yeah, let's give a little spoiler for the book to get people interested.
So I'll read you this quick little intro. It'll kind of set the stage and foundation. This has not been edited yet, so don't judge me.
Ooh, unedited. So that means even like once we get the book and it's made out, it's edits, we'd be like, oh, I know it was cut out.
Yeah,
was there.
You'll go back and watch the stream. It's really short. So The Darkwalker, Introduction. Darkness falls, secrets flood our senses, shadows roam, fears unbound, don't turn around, the dark walkers gaining ground, a cold, bitter end abound. Diary entry, Lunelope Lace, Empress of Zalari. This is the story of a hero that saved the world at a cost too great, a war that no one wanted or asked for. The only ones to gain anything were the great powers that controlled Zalari. Over what? Greed, envy, scars that had run deeper than centuries of blood in the water. Zalarians slaughtered for a grudge they were never a part of. This is the story of a hero who lived a life of glory, who came from nothing, a prisoner of a fate not their own making, who blossomed into a beautiful lotus. The stories say that this hero lived a valiant, full, and wonderful life, surrounded by friends, family, and warmth. That the hero shared that warmth with the world in a life people could only ever dream of. That she was selfless, blessed, open-minded, optimistic, the personification of joy and peace. It was the underdog's dream, a glory tale about making the most of horrible circumstances. Sadly, it wasn't like that. This legendary tale is the story of my life. I assure you, it was nothing short of a nightmare woven together with joy and peace. It was an illusion. It was hell, hard decisions, blood, and pain. Yet in those quiet moments, the little ones, I stole joy. In those shadowy pockets of calm before the storm, I found the brightest light. No one talks about how the world almost ended. Oh no, they'd rather focus on the good times that came after the legends made their sacrifices. No one remembers except me. I remember every single second like it was yesterday. The waking nightmare that I fight against drowning every single day. To me, this life was not the glory thrill-seeking adventure for a group of outcasts to make their mark on the world. There was no dazzling hero here, just the story of a woman who fell in love with danger and it destroyed her. I am not the hero who stood when the world burned. Instead, I am a woman who stood in the flames of an impossible love while it burned me alive. Yet despite it all, I would do it again and again and again for even just a moment longer with you. Don't you know that, my love?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm curious because there's seems someone lost their love. There's some intrigue about what happened. A little bit of a poem there in the beginning.
Yep.
Oh, wow, that's very captivating.
Thank you.
I think that really pulls you in. Like, people don't realize, man, those intros set you up for what was going to go down. Because when I was thinking of an intro, I was going to do mine with like a shootout right away. Because, like I said, my biggest inspiration was Max Payne. So if I ever get to writing what I want to write, it would be more of a, I like first person perspective. So the character narrating everything, but like he's going to be a very depressed, very lost everything and everyone, and my story starts at the end and then goes back to the beginning because I'm also a fan of so I like how you narrate that because you got a little bit of everything. Like you put that, you could tell this is the end of the story, right? She's telling it to someone and going, this is what happened. She clearly probably lost someone she loved. I don't want to guess anything, but that's just the gist I get from it.
Right.
And yeah, she's all like, sit down, guys. This is a tragic tale. There's going to be tears.
Yeah. So I definitely, like I said, when I finished writing Dark Descending, I cried. So I've discovered, just so you're prepared, I am the type of author that I hate. Like literally, I was doing the dishes the other day, and my best friend, she lives with me with her husband, and of course, Hen. But I was doing the dishes, and I was just thinking about my story, and I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And so I walked over to my friend, and I was like, Nikki, you have to stop me. And she's like, what? And I was like, I'm thinking about killing my main character. She was like, don't you fucking dare. And she was like so mad. I still haven't decided yet, so I apologize in advance.
Oh, and speaking of which, we just talked about my good friend Justin earlier, and now he's lurking here in the chats. So if you guys don't know, go check out Justin Proper, a good friend here in the fandom zone, and amused Zod. So if you want to see some poetic stuff, you should watch our Cobra Kai review. If you want to see two grown men just geek out over Ronnie Kid and the greatness that is that show.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm really picky about my shows. Like literally, I'm not a TV person or a movie person. So literally all I watch TV wise is Lucifer or Naruto.
First off, I love your decisions because Naruto, oh my God, that fight with Sasuke and Naruto, I don't care what anybody says. If you made like cinematic like tragedies, that fight by the waterfall when they're kids, that gets me every time. I've seen it 1,000 times, and I'll sit there bawling like, "You guys can make it up. You're from the same village. Stop it."
I'm so miserable every time. And I used to hate Sakura. I used to hate her, but now in Shippuden, I'm like, okay, I got you, Sakura. But when they reconnected and they were doing that big fight in Shippuden, with like the Ninja War and stuff, and like she saw Sasuke for the first time, I was just like, oh my god. I'm like geeking out over her.
Justin has an interesting comment. He says, I can't read. Is there an audiobook version to your book?
Not yet, but I was thinking about making one.
You might want to make one because then Justin Proper or PB don't have a reason not to check out your book.
I've been told I have the voice for it, so maybe.
I just want to say I greatly enjoy your second choice, and I think that's where we bonded because Lucifer, I'm literally going back through. I've been waiting for the series to end, and they lied to me. Thought it was season 5, but surprise, they're doing a season 6. They could have ended it where they had it, but whatever. I'll be doing an overview review because to me that was such a criminally underrated show. Like
I love it.
Tom Ellis is amazing.
Yeah. So you haven't seen any of them, or have you seen them all?
I've seen every single one multiple times.
Okay.
So
literally 5. I just, I've been binge watching 5B since it dropped, and I was just amazed because I knew like 5A was really powerful, but then 5B, I was like, no wonder he demanded a pay raise. Like this shit is nuts.
Oh my goodness. And Justin, no. Why are you doing this?
Zod, what we could do, because my story is third person, but I kind of try to talk about the different characters because what I did with this story is create an RPG, adventure party. So I have 7 characters that travel with my female and they each have specific roles. So we could totally, do an audiobook together, Zod.
Oh my God. Okay. You know what? I'll do what I do with all of the decisions I make apparently here on the channel. That's why I went to see Cruella, which actually wasn't a poor choice. I don't care what critics say. This is the first time. I'm glad that the critics got it wrong. But everybody put a 1 if you would want to hear me do an audio of a character in this book. Mr. Zod reads the Bible. Oh, that'd be a great one.
Oh, Lord.
Yes, that's gonna do it. Oh, this is my agent. So, just to proper, Cyber's my financial advisor. My agent, apparently. So,
your life coach.
Yeah, he's like, oh, what? Hen, I don't know. Hen, I don't know what 9 is.
She just wants to break tradition is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, she likes to go get sushi. Whoa, my goodness! So Fanta, we've got a bunch of 1s. Justin, we got a bunch of 1s.
But yeah, like I'll take a chapter, you do a chapter, and we'll just go back and forth, and it'll be a good time.
Oh boy! All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess because I'm a man of the people, I wouldn't mind. I've always wondered too, because like I hear my voice back and I'm like, oh gosh, like, God, I mean, but whatever character I do, my only stipulation is whatever character I do, they have to rant about something. Like they have to be an angry, ranting kind of character. I think that would really fit me, and I could really get that.
You don't want to be the flamboyant diplomat?
I mean, oh my God, I could totally pull it off, girl. We're gonna go get some trolls.
Evangelist Morin, everyone. Evangelist Morin. No, so I created a party to travel with my female, and so there's like a mage and there's like a thief and there's like because I was like really feeling my RPG feels when I started this book, and I'm actually really excited about it. I was going to show you. I have a map. I was going to show you. I just got to find it. It's buried in my phone somewhere.
Ooh, a map.
Mm-hmm.
Justin said, "You cannot pull." I think I pulled it off quite well. Hold on, where's my shades? Like, oh my God, Justin, I am totally the black and the black with the blue shades. Like the fact that you think that you could put a box on me really hurts me right here. No. These are to hide the tears that you have caused, mister. You.
Zod, we're going to be great friends. I can already tell.
Oh, yeah. Me and Pigtails Gary. Oh, geez. That was
amazing.
I think we had too much chemistry there.
It was worth it. Oh, gosh. Sorry.
Oh, Justin says, okay, first off, you need aviators, a diamond earring, and those gold bracelets. I'll take that into account next time you see me. I might develop a character. I already did. So if you guys don't know, I might bring them back. I did a character called Soy Cole, where it was an SJW version of myself, and I gave a review on Captain Marvel, and I was like, you guys just don't understand how oppressed Brie Larson is. I'm sitting here drinking my skinny no foam latte in these jeans, just thinking, oh my God, she is breaking down the patriarchy. Like the way she hits Jude Law in the face, there was tears. I literally cried. And people don't understand how powerful she is. It was great. I really want to do a re-edit of that video.
I don't know if you'll be able to see it.
Oh boy, might have to turn the. Oh yeah, there we go. The brightness down slightly because it's catching the glare in the camera. There you go. Oh,
so that's the world of Zalari.
Oh, so, you built a world.
Yeah, so I built a whole world. So if you start writing Zod and you want to create a world yourself, there is a chick on Twitter. Her name is Valor's Lady. I gave her all the information, and I gave her everything, like the distance and how many cities and everything. So, and I'll send this to you so you have a better look at it. But
yeah, I actually stole a world. It's called New York. My story will take place in Manhattan. I guess a little bit so you guys can encourage me. But the story I had is about a cop who the beginning of the story is the ending, and he's dying and he don't know why. And it mixes theology because it has to do with Satan coming, and he takes a case. I wanted to build it like a noir. So a pretty girl walks in, and the whole story, she walks in because he's a private eye.
Yeah.
He used to be a cop, and then some tragedy happened, and he became a private detective that drinks and smokes and all the cliches. And this beautiful girl comes into his office about this case. And when he investigates it, he thinks it's just a standard murder, but there's a supernatural element to it. And it all leads to the end of the world. So how do we get from there to there? No clue, but that's a rough idea. So I don't know if I have a future. No, he's not a gay cop, Justin. Gosh. So I don't know. I don't know I don't know how people feel about it or if they like it, but I always liked the noir kind of cop storytelling, but I write a lot of horror. So I wanted to mix horror elements into the, gritty cop noir feel. So, and
Amazing.
and I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the inspirations came from Max Payne. I always loved the game, and I like his narrations, and I like how they gave it that 50s cop vibe. Like he's, a very terrible person, but he had terrible things happen to him, and that's why he does what he does. So I kind of drew a lot of inspiration from the character, which is why I've had to readjust the idea over the years, because I'm like, God, I don't want them to sue me.
Right. I felt with my one story that I've been writing for 20 some years. Like I reworked the whole thing, and it's called Terracotta Saga, and it's huge, and I was gonna layer it and stuff because I was trying to do a chronicle of this world that I created. And so the problem was I started like in the middle of the world, and so I didn't have like the foundation and everything. So that's why. So I have a book called Deliverance that's done. Just needs to be edited, but I was hesitant to really like work on it and stuff because I didn't feel confident enough in the depth and the foundation that I had laid to explain everything. So I don't know.
Yeah, see, the same thing happened for me. I got the end of the story, and I've had it for years in my head, like the end of the story, but not the beginning, which I always thought is weird because everyone says the ending is always the hardest one. But for me, the end of my ideas always come first. It's getting to there that seems to be the problem. Yep. I wrote this short story that actually got me kicked out of a writing contest. Well, this is how hypocritical schools are. So they said to write a scary story.
Yeah.
I said, I'm a huge fan of Stephen King. Can there be blood and things in it? And they said, yeah, let your imagination run wild. Well, apparently my imagination is too crazy because in my story was about a Grim Reaper that came on Halloween, and it chased this girl and her friends. And, I was inspired by Halloween and stuff at the time, all of these great classics. So I had the cliche jock guy, the stuck up girl and everything, and they slowly die throughout the night, and you pretty much know which one it is. But I had a scene where like one of them died and their entrails were in alphabetical order and stuff, and the teachers did not like that. Everybody,
that's amazing though.
So I got up and I read my story. Now everybody in the class, they got the clap. Good job, little Timmy. I read mine. Everybody was silent. The teachers were kind of rushing me off. My mom got called. It was not a fun day, but
I thought you were a sociopath getting ready to murder
people.
There
was like I went to counseling that week. They were like, "Is there anything you want to?" I go, "No." I'm like, "Shit, did like John Carpenter and Clive Barker and all these people have to go through the same thing because read Hellraiser. That's like, could you picture a kid reading that?" No. I see John's, I seen his paintings, or Clive. I've seen Clive's paintings, okay? I know he wasn't painting that in school.
The house is too dark for school.
Yeah. I did a lot of poems and short stories and things like that. I got one poem memorized that I did for my girlfriend, Mitch Bitchy. I will never read out loud, but I made a poem for her, I'm a type of person as far as poetry goes, and I don't know if you have this problem, but sometimes I can't write until it strikes me. Like I'm not one of those people I ever feel could be rushed to deadlines because I have to be inspired.
Yep.
And my poetry is heavily on there. Like I wrote one poem called Empty Pews, which was about, it was right after I got back from Africa and some things happened. And it was about basically how I felt I was damned as I walked into this church. The person's supposed to be me, but it's kind of that perspective.
Right.
So it's like when I write, I have to have an inspiration. Have you ever had those points where like you can't force yourself to write, the idea just has to come to you, you know?
Yeah, I've noticed, so my problem is excuse me, sorry. I have 3 kids and I work full time.
Oh boy.
And not only do I work full time, but I also do this military, National Guard thing. So and that's like 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks in the summer. But right now I'm deployed basically. So so I don't have the time when I go home on weekends because I'm going home after being gone all week. So I'm helping my husband with all the kids and doing all this craziness. So what I try to do during the week is I try to focus on my writing. But my problem is if I write too many days in a row, I get burnt out really quickly. So I'm always like, oh, I wanna write, but I also want to play Baldur's Gate. But my husband also wants me to play WoW with the family. So
I can't go down that hole. Let me tell you, I am one of those people that went to a group and you would think like I was there for drugs and alcohol, and it's like, no, I'm addicted to WoW.
yeah.
Like I got into that game and it came to a point where I was like, if I don't stop, I'm going to give up every other function in life.
Yeah.
So
WoW will do it to you. WoW will do it to you. And I know that. And so I've been playing the early access of Baldur's Gate, and I really want them to release the full game because I'm like, it's kind of like anticlimactic going to level 3 and then not being able to do anything else. So, but my husband is playing WoW because they just released the Burning Crusade again. And so they're doing that. And so he got Neon, who lives with me, to start, which he got his wife, my best friend, to start. And so now they're trying to rope me back into it. And I created my characters and everything. And I want to play, I do, but I also want to play Baldur's Gate. But I also need to write.
Yeah. Oh man, with this YouTubing thing. I come into that too because it's like I got several videos that I got done that I just got to release, but there's like little edits, and then my software was only the demo, so I uploaded my video, but it was on my wrong account because I have 2 of them. And the demo apparently only lets you upload 1. So now I got to find a new program that's not a trial version, redo all of the edits, re-upload the video. But I also have to do my Wild Rift ranks because right now I'm silver and I'm trying to get to masters before the season ends. And there's so many idiots. So many idiots. I hate playing with random teams. It's horrendous. But yeah, I mean, it's a big reason why I used to have every system when I was younger. I followed all the way up to, I think, the Xbox One and the PlayStation 3 was right where I followed to. And then I just stopped because it's like so much time and dedication when you're trying to do other things that goes into that you really have to focus on one or the other. You can't split it or,
Yeah. Well, and I just started this whole YouTube thing too. So I'm like trying to post videos and gather, a following, but then at the same time, I'm like,
Planet Q's Queen. That's exactly the video that I've had that Patriots Day video done and edited and ready to be put out. And then my program won't let me upload it. So now I'm trying to figure it out through YouTube, but I can't create thumbnails or anything through uploading on YouTube. It's just the raw, whatever I got. So
use canva.com. That's where I do all of my promo material.
Canva is good for that, but I need a video editor to edit some of the stuff because the video for your video, Planet Q, which thank you, that will wound up being like a 20-minute video that I edited down to like 15 because I had so much that I went into. I shot it because when I shoot a video, everyone uses scripts. I just shoot from the cuff. Like I turn the camera on and just say what's on my mind. And when I did, I looked and I was like, holy shit, this is 20 minutes. No one's going to watch a 20-minute, including my intro and outro. No one's going to watch 20 minutes of me breaking down plot points and a history of where everything intersects with each other. So, but yeah, Canva is a really good one. So I try to keep these interviews to like an hour and a half. I also have a meeting with my bridge crew. So I'm going to start winding things down here. This has been a really great conversation. We talked about all sorts of things.
It's crazy. We got to do this again.
Yeah, I mean, we just like trailed off into like 15 other different things and this is how I like to do it. Like, everyone asks me when I go to do these interviews, they're like, what are we going to talk about? And I go, I just let the conversation go where it's going to go. And, I think the best way to interview someone is to have like a chat with them. Like if you were out and about, because it makes people feel comfortable instead of trying to do a format of like, so when you were a child and so it's like, did this shape who? It's like, no. And when people are comfortable, they can open up. So thank you so much for giving us an excerpt. I didn't even expect that from your book coming out. I really appreciate it. And let us know about your channel, anything you got coming up, your book, all that. Oh, that is really cool art.
Yes, that's my book cover for the Dark Walker.
So Hen said, thank you, Jackie. You are awesome.
Yeah, no problem. And I definitely want to do this again. I'll let you go because I know you got to go to your meeting. But thanks for penciling me in. I know how busy you are.
Oh, man, makes it sound like an important. No, I mean, these days, yeah. When I got monetized, I thought the work was over, but apparently there's more work. So, but I love it. And I love talking to you guys. Thank you, everybody who joined us. Thank you for watching. Retweet this, share it. Go check out Jackie's book on Amazon. You guys can order the audio because I looked. There's a thing for the some other link, like it's already an audio thing or an audio book.
Probably, I don't know. Tamara's usually on top of stuff like that.
Yeah, so you can't get the book itself, but you can get the download now. So go over there, check it out. Definitely, show these guys some love. They worked very hard, and I appreciate anybody who puts their heart and soul into what they do. I've got some more videos coming as soon as I get my new software. Again, video editing software, the bane of my life. I might just buy it because this editing program is really good. I might just buy it because it's a one-time thing. It's like $20. I might just buy it and have it. But I'm going to do a late night talks on Friday.
Okay.
I'm doing a Fandoms talks on Saturday. And I'm talking to some people about an interview. Some very big people. Who've gotten back to me. So I might have a few different bigger channels that you guys know of. I've sent them DMs. They've sent it back, told me to send them some of my things that I do with this interview. So hopefully I can get them onto the show. But I'm talking with a lot of other big YouTubers to try to get them on, because sharing is caring. So be on the lookout for that. I'm not going to drop any names until I got some different confirmation, but
Sorry.
Yes, I'm upgrading from dial-up internet to broadband. I've been broadband for a while, thank God.
I don't ever want to do dial-up again. Jesus.
Oh, you guys make jokes. You have no clue the dial-up. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And if you're members of the channel or you're not members of the channel, become members of the channel. I'm going to redo all my benefits because I don't like some of them. And I'm going to put some new benefit stuff in there, maybe some shirts and stuff. Also, I'm going to be releasing members-only content. And me and PB are working on our first members-only stream where you can ask the bear anything. even about the Bears, and he is legally obligated to answer you. You can ask him how much he loves Zack Snyder if you want to, and he will have to comply with that. No, he won't. He's probably gonna look at this and be like, "This son of a bitch volunteers for things that I don't hear."
Every time he says it, I'm like, yes.
So, anyways, everybody, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I think I'm going to play out some different music. So, hold on a second. We're going to throw this banner up. Have a good day. And who's going to play us out? It's a mystery. Let's see. Who do we got to play us out?